Hey kids, today we're going to be learning about the story of how Nehemiah built a great big wall with his strong faith in the Lord. Nehemiah worked as a trusted cupbearer to King Artaxerxes, who ruled over the mighty empire of the Medes and Persians. Nehemiah was a Jew living in Susa. Many years before, the Jews had been taken as captives by the Babylonians. One day, Nehemiah was visited by Hanani, one of his brothers, who lived in Jerusalem. Nehemiah asked him about the city and the Jews living there. Hanani explained that the walls that had been knocked down were still rubble. The city gates that had been set on fire had not been replaced. The Jews in the city had no protection and were living in great trouble and disgrace. When Nehemiah heard these things, he sat down and wept. For several days he mourned, fasted, and prayed. He confessed his sin and the sin of his people. He knew that God had promised that if his people had turned back to him and obeyed him, then God would return them to their land. Nehemiah asked God for an opportunity to speak to the king about the situation.
Today's verse to know is Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 11. Say it with me. O Lord, I pray, please let your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant and to the prayer of your servants who desire to fear your name. And let your servant prosper this day, I pray, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man. For I was the king's cupbearer. Nehemiah 1:11.
Sometime later, Nehemiah was serving the king when the king asked, "Why do you look so sad?" "May the king live forever," replied Nehemiah. "Why should my face not look sad when Jerusalem lies in ruins and its gates have been destroyed by fire?" "What is it you want?" asked the king. Nehemiah asked to go back to his homeland so that he could help. The king gave Nehemiah all he asked for, including royal letters of safe conduct and an armed escort. He was also given permission to take timber from the royal park to build new city gates. A few days after Nehemiah arrived, he called a meeting of the leaders and those who could do the work. "You see the trouble we are in and the ruins. Come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, so we will no longer be in disgrace." Nehemiah explained how God was with him and that he had the backing of the king, too. They replied, "Let us start rebuilding." The work began at once. Despite being mocked by their enemies, the builders set to work rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. Each family or group prepared a section of the wall. The high priest and his fellow priests went to work and rebuilt the sheep gate. Levites and priests joined in the work. When Sanballat got news the rebuilding was making progress, he was furious. In front of the army of Samaria, he mocked them. "What are those feeble Jews doing?" he asked. Tobiah the Ammonite, standing next to him, jeered. "What are they even building? Even a fox could climb up on it and break down their wall of stones." The builders prayed and continued working until the walls were half their height. When Sanballat, Tobiah, and others heard the gaps in the walls were being closed, they angrily plotted to attack Jerusalem and cause trouble. The Jews prayed to God and posted a guard day and night to meet this threat. They continued to get more threats. From that point on, half the men did the work, while the other half stood guard with the swords, spears, bows, and armor. Those who were building also carried weapons. Work continued from dawn until sunset as Nehemiah reminded them, "Our God will fight for us." 52 days after the rebuilding started, the project was finished. It was a great day. They finished the wall with the help of God. Nehemiah is a great reminder that with God we can do great things. When we want to help others, let's pray and ask God to show us the way.
I think it'd be fun to build a wall like Nehemiah did. Let's see what we have at home that we use to build a wall.
Well, I know we have these little blocks that the little babies use.
All right, let's try that. All right, let's see what else we can find to build another wall.
Well, we have these cups from around the kitchen.
Yeah, let's see how high we can build the wall with these. Let's see, what's next?
Well, we went outside and we found some rocks.
Oh yeah, let's do those.
Okay.
Okay. All right, what else can we find around the house?
Well, you can use some Legos or blocks like
Oh yes, let's do those. I like this wall. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's even got a window.
Can you think of anything else that we have around the house?
We've got books.
Oh yes, we have plenty of books. All right. Now this we could do a bunch of different things. Yeah, I like that, Ava. Maybe like that. Well, that was a lot of fun.
You guys should totally try and see what you can build with, but make sure if it's not yours to ask your mom or dad.